What's up, everybody? Welcome in to Tony's NFL 2-minute drill. A fun week of football. A fun week of football this week. Week 5 ended up being interesting. There was a lot of blowouts. This week, and I started looking across the landscape, and I was like, Texans beat the Ravens by 34. Cowboys beat the Jets by 15. It was worse than that. The Raiders and Colts game, 34. It's like we talked about it on the show today, funny enough. You can kind of delete half the league. And I know in every year it's like, all right, you can kind of delete half the league. But it feels like this year in specific, there are a few contenders that we know are really good. There's a couple of people in a secondary tier that we think are kind of good. Then we've got some teams that'll just be wild card fodder, fighting for that spot, maybe make the wild card with a losing record, depending on what division they're in and how the conference works out. Probably more so in the AFC, you'll have a team with a losing record in the playoffs. But it's like, damn, everybody is just decimated by injuries. Everybody is kind of on their last leg, and it's week 5, right? Like we've had 16 quarterback injuries. We've had injuries across the league. Breaking now in the last couple of minutes, the last hour, Omarion Hampton is on IR with a high ankle sprain. It's like all of the stars of this league are getting hurt one by one at a clip that you usually see around like week 8, 9, 10, right? Somewhere around there. But we've seen a rash of injuries. And I don't know if that injury correlation is leading to more blowouts on teams that are not that good. But obviously, Ravens decimated by injuries. They got beat by 34. The Raiders aren't injured. Brock Bowers didn't play, but they're just not a good team. They get beat by 34. The Jets are just terrible. I saw a stat today that Justin Fields is 0-20-something when a team scores 21 points, when the opposing team scores 21 points. And I was like, that can't be true. Half the things I read online, I know are not true. That one feels like it's not true, but damn. All right, a lot to get to today on Tony's 2-minute drill. We've got Broncos beat the Eagles in a stunner. That was one of the good games in the 1 o'clock window. Bucks get a huge road win against Seattle. We'll talk about that. Commies beat the Chargers on the West Coast. Good sign for Jaden Daniels. Bad sign for the Chargers. I'll tell you why in a little bit. Bills. There's something about the Bills. I'm not 100% sold on there's something about them. I don't know. And I've said on this show before, Josh Allen is the rising tide that lifts all boats to a certain point. I think the Pats are going to be a very interesting team come December. Let's put the pin in that. We'll talk about that later. Colts keep rolling. Also, we'll get to all those topics. Before we get to all of that, I want to remind you, subscribe the channel so we can get more people flowing into the YouTube channel, into our Twitch, Twitter, Kick, all the different places that we're at. 10-Day Tony. We'll have our regular show with Lewis later on in the week. The Thursday show that used to be with my brother, that'll come back in a couple of weeks. He's on his honeymoon. Shout out to Chris and Gabby. They got married over the weekend. I did give the best man speech, and by the way, the boy killed it. Obviously, it's different. I talk for a living, right? I'm on the show. I do this. Like, this is what I do. I get on microphones and I talk. But it's different when you're at a live setting and you're looking around at 180 people plus staff, people moving around, things happening, people getting into their seats. They're doing the photo booth. They're doing this. They're doing that. I very much explored the space, had the handheld mic walking around, doing my thing, told people to get back to their seats, kind of air traffic controller a little bit. So it was fun. It was a fun wedding. Shout out to Gabby and Chris. But again, as I was saying, quick reminder, like the page, subscribe to the page, hit the bell so you can get notified when we go live here on the channel. That makes it easier for other people to find the channel and to find the content. So I appreciate that. All right. Here's the 2-minute warning. New segment we're doing, 2-minute warning. Quick 60 to 90 seconds on the top 5 stories, what I think of the top 5 stories of Sunday. And we'll get to Monday night a little bit later in a couple hours. Game's going to be on at around 8:15. So let's get through the big ones. Broncos stunned the Eagles. Eagles seemed like they were just going to beat the Eagles and churn you like butter until you couldn't defend them, and they would break off long runs or break off screen passes that go for a touchdown. And that's the team in the Broncos that the Eagles will have probably the toughest test, because the Broncos are built to get after the quarterback. The Broncos are built to cover in the secondary. Their linebackers are really good. At all three levels of the Broncos defense, they're matched up to compete with Philly in a way that it feels like no other team and no other defense in the league is prepared to do, right? Some teams are great on the front line, average at linebacker, average at secondary, or it goes top to bottom. Great secondary, okay linebackers, bad pass rush. Like, you start looking at teams and you kind of realize, oh, wow, Broncos are set up very, very nicely. They had one of the best defenses last year, and that kind of plays off this year too, that they've got one of the better defenses. It just felt like Bo Nix and the offense was moving the ball in key situations. They got converted big third downs. I know a couple of penalties helped them convert a couple of more that were able to ice the game away a little bit more, a little bit easier. But the Eagles are fine. When you win 20 out of 21 games, I think you're okay. Landon Dickerson did leave, and I know that offensive line, I've said that offensive line is the best unit in football, regardless of position. And they need the line to be complete to be able to move the pile the way they want, to be able to play the style that they want to play, right? The tush push is an automatic first down. So they're kind of playing at 1st and 9, 1st and 8.5, if you really look at it. I don't think Saquon, I know he scored a 47-yard touchdown this week, but I don't think he's really come online yet. We'll see how many carries they kind of devote to him by giving him almost 500 last year. It feels like this is a year where they want to preserve him a little bit more and get him fresh towards the playoffs. So I don't think it's a huge panic meter in the red loss for the Eagles. It just shows that they're human and that they can be beat. And the Broncos are an interesting team. They're an interesting team. They had a couple bad bounces, a couple penalties away from being undefeated or near it. And I like what they're doing in Denver. I really do. Tough division. I think the Chiefs, I think the Chargers are still going to be making a play, but there's something about those Denver Broncos I like. Probably the most exciting game is this next game we're going to talk about. Probably the most exciting game of the weekend, Bucs Seahawks. And at the beginning of the season, if you would have said Seahawks Bucs in Seattle at Lumen Field is going to be 38-35, I'll be like, how are the Seahawks scoring 38 points? How are the Bucs scoring 30? I know the Bucs how they would do it, but how are the Seahawks scoring 38 or 35 points? How? I didn't think their offense was going to be that good getting into this season. I thought their offensive line was going to be a little weak. I thought their running game was going to be okay. I didn't know how Sam Darnold was going to look with more pressure. When you look at some of the splits he had in Minnesota, pressure was his biggest red mark, where it was like, if he's got less than 3.5 seconds to throw, his QBR, his percentage, completion percentage, all these things are dipping violently. And with that line in Seattle, it felt like this might be set up for a team that is fighting to go 500, maybe. And now the Seahawks look like a very complete team, a very good defense coached by Mike McDonald, and they showed you they can play in a shootout game. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a top 12 wide receiver in the league already. Is that fair to say? Top 12? I think he's showing it this year. The kid on the other side is special. Emeka Egbuka is all that they thought he was going to be and more. But I think this game is about the quarterbacks. I think if you look at the headline, it's Baker does it again. How does he keep doing it? I don't know. He is in the echelon of quarterbacks that you feel comfortable, no matter how much time is on the clock, you feel comfortable giving Baker the ball and being like, win us this game, tie this game, do something. And he continues to prove week in and week out that the moment is never too big for him. That the moment is, I'm Baker Mayfield. I was a star in college. I was a number one pick. I was humbled. I'm back in the fold, and I'm better than ever. And we talked about it on the show today, where people like Baker, right? Everybody wants to like Baker because the United States, America, people love a redemption story. People love the arc of the hero. They see him at the top. He wins the Heisman. He's the number one pick. He's got the world by the balls. It's everything. It's Baker. He's got the commercials. And then we love to see them fall, right? The champions fall, the winners fall, everybody loses. And it's like, finally, okay, the guy that was at the top, now he's back down. But the spectrum is a full one. We love to see now that guy that got humbled all the way back at the top of the mountain. And that's where Baker is right now in the arc of his story as an NFL QB. He is now nearing the spectrum turn of I loved him and now I love him again, right? It's a really cool story to see. But Sam Darnold is right there with him, right? Very much the same story. Guy who got picked high in the draft, flamed out with the Jets, bounced around a couple teams, finally had a QB and a coach that was QB friendly in Kevin O'Connell, revitalized his career, and now he's playing really, really good football for the Seattle Seahawks. And it's like, this is what we love to see. Geno was part of that pack, and now he's kind of turned into a pumpkin for the Raiders. But damn, that was the most fun game of the weekend was Bucs Seahawks. And it's cool to see two guys dueling it out like that. Baker pregame, I put it on my Twitter. I'm sure you've seen the him talking to the Seattle fans in the tunnel. God, just chef's kiss. Mwah. Calling him an F and P, and he's like, "Well, you watch, buddy." And then he comes back and finds him after and I told you on the way back, dude. That's your quarterback. That is so sick. I love that. All right, Commies beat the Chargers in kind of a statement win. Chargers look like one of the best teams in the NFL. The Commanders were coming off of Jaden Daniels' injury. Marcus Mariota looking okay at times. It goes to show you that when you have a quarterback, even though he didn't play, I don't think he played spectacular. I think it was a moment of, okay, he's coming back from injury. The game is not too fast for Jaden Daniels. And we knew that last year when he came in as a rookie and the game was not too fast for him and made it to the NFC Championship game. I think the Commies are a real team in the NFC. I think the Commies are a real team. They play tough defense. They play really well on offense. Cliff Kingsbury. I think Debo's been a great addition. Remember, they're missing Terry McLaurin too. We don't know the whole situation with Terry McLaurin. He's got a quad injury. He's getting second, third opinions on whether he's going to have surgery or not. This is a team that's missing their best wide receiver. Debo Samuel's come gangbusters, been playing out of his mind. When they thought he was done in San Francisco, he comes back and says, no, I still got more in the tank. I'm still Debo. Like, let's get this going. Bill, Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, really good player. He needs to get more touches on this Commie team, right? They're cycling through backs after Eckler got hurt. Chris Rodriguez, okay, kind of a journeyman guy. Jeremy McNichol, another kind of journeyman scat back guy. Bill is a guy that they need to feature in that offense to give Jaden Daniels what he needs from an RPO perspective, the threat of the run. The threat of the run is a massive, massive component of the RPO. And if you can play option ball with Bill going one way, with Jaden Daniels going one way, and the ability to pass it, it's like that's a very tough offense to stop. So I came away very excited for the Commanders. I think it's the NFC picture is a little bit more clear as far as who we think the top teams are. I think the Commies are going to be a very, very good team in December and January. All right, next big one. We've got the Bills, previously undefeated Bills, but Pats come to play them in Western New York, and it almost felt like this game was a little bit too easy to predict because I felt like the Pats were going to be a tough matchup for the Bills in a way that they hadn't really played anybody with the defense playing as well as the Patriots has been as of late. I don't think they've played a quarterback as good as Drake May. I want to just double check that. I know they've played the Jets. I know they've played the Saints, and the Saints gave them a little bit of a run last week. Let's check here. Chad, if you know, you can put who they played. Saints. Okay, they played 2 in the Dolphins. They played the Jets, and obviously they had the great game against the Ravens when we thought the Ravens were still good. So out of those, obviously you've got Lamar probably being the best of the bunch, but Drake May is getting to that point where he's kind of that. I ain't taking a quiz. That's funny. Shout out to Dak. Shout out to Vinay, the boys hanging out here with Tende. Drake is in that interesting position of, is he kind of Josh Allen light? Is he a guy that he's not as big as Josh, obviously physically, but he can get away from defenders. He's strong enough to shake off DNs. He made a couple plays last night, especially towards the end of the game, that he was getting away from the line, rolling out, pushing guys off him, making throws off balance, off platform, finding spots. Stephon Diggs, by the way, welcome to the party. Welcome to 2025, Stephon Diggs. Yes, sir. Okay, good to see you. I think Drake May is a really good prospect. I think he's a really good quarterback. He's going to get better, but he has flashes and moments where you look and see, oh, that's not normal. That's not what a normal quarterback does. That's what somebody who understands his body, understands the way to play the position in this new NFL that some guys don't have. And he's got a very natural feel for the game that is optimistic, I think. If they can surround him with a couple more weapons, I know Stephon Diggs played well last night. That was kind of a revenge game going back to Buffalo. But Booty is okay. I think he's a fine 3, right? Hunter Henry's kind of up there. He's getting older. We saw Antonio Gibson get hurt on a kickoff. Ramondre Stevenson with fumble problems. I think if they unleash Travion Henderson and allowed him to get a lion's share of the carries and touches, I think they'd be very surprised with what they have in the backfield. If they can get like an alpha number 1 guy, if they can get a Nico Collins type 6'4" X receiver that can go get it, what if they go and acquire AJ Brown? That would be sick. I don't think the Eagles would ever do that, but I mean, like they're missing that to be a very, very intriguing team in the AFC. And I think that they're going to be a playoff team. As we sit now, I know they're 3-2. The AFC is weak. I think the AFC East is trash. They can be a second team to make the playoffs out of that AFC East. I think the Bills are still going to win the division, but I'd keep a very, very close eye on what's happening in New England. Last of the 2-minute warning, last of the top 5 stories here. Colts. Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones. Daniel Jones is playing, dare I say it, MVP football. Another just ho-hum game. I think 20 of 29, 200 and some odd, couple of scores. It's like kind of an average game, just a normal game for him. Just a normal game for him. Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns, and the Colts roll over the Raiders. I think the AFC South has become a little bit more interesting. Obviously, you guys know I'm Duval County till I die. Got the San Boselli candle right here. But I think it's going to be an interesting race between the Colts and the Jags. The Jags are incredibly frisky. I know there's a lot to be. They're missing a lot on offense. I think they need to step up receiver-wise. I think they need to get Travis Hunter more involved. I think Brian Thomas Jr. needs to play like he did last year, because this year he hasn't been great. But I trust Liam Cohen the same way I trusted Liam Cohen when I saw what he was doing with Baker. It was like, oh, this guy gets it. This guy understands how to coach quarterbacks. This guy can maximize what he has with the players that he has. And it's easy when it's guys like Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin. Now you have dynamic playmakers like Travis Etienne, Bashal Tutin, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence. You have that, so go use it. And again, this is not a Jags point. We'll get to the Jags later on as we preview a little bit of the Monday Night Football game. But the Colts are a very, very interesting team. I like their weapons. Tyler Warren, I think, is awesome. I think he's going to be a Colt for 20 years and be like an all-time Colt guy. That to me is like the steal of the draft is them taking Tyler Warren. I think he's going to be a rock solid tight end for them. So that's going to be cool. All right, those are the top 5 stories of Sunday. Let's get to a little bit of overreaction Monday. Overreaction Monday. I'm going to give you some takes that I think are a little bit of either an overreaction or an underreaction. I'm going to give you a couple, starting with teams that are not dead yet. Teams that are not dead yet. I said on the Le Batard show today, and I'll continue to say it here. I don't think the Ravens are dead yet. You're going to have to bury the Ravens. You're going to have to kill them. You're going to have to bury them. You're going to have to bring them back up and then kill them again. This team, I get it. Historically bad on defense. The defensive ratings and metrics and numbers are awful. Yes, I get it. I get it. When Lamar Jackson comes back, they still have Lamar Jackson. They still have multiple-time rushing champion Derrick Henry. If they can start getting him rolling. Zay Flowers, I still like. Like, they've got the pieces. They've got the pieces to contend in the division and in the conference. The division is trash, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, the AFC North is garbage. Bengals without Joe Burrow are nothing. The Browns are on to their second quarterback, and at some point, don't be surprised if we see Shedeur Sanders get a couple shots. That team is going nowhere fast. I'm not sold on the Steelers, guys. I'm not 100% sold on the Steelers. Can they win the division and shut me up? Absolutely. Are they relying on a 40-year-old quarterback off an Achilles surgery with weapons that, okay, I like DK Metcalf, but that's really it. Jalen Warren is a good player. I like him. But that's really all they have, right? Like Pat Freiermuth, he's never been that guy. All of a sudden, he's going to just be that guy. No. Their defense is good, not as good as it's been in previous years. So you start looking at all these things, and I can make the case that the Steelers are playing well, but I don't think they're going to win the division. I think the Ravens, once Lamar gets back and healthy, I see them going on a run. I see them fighting teams, even though they're getting, gashed on defense. I see that offense keeping up with teams and basically just playing the Joe Burrow method. We're going to have to outscore you because our defense sucks. And that's fine. That's fine. Because the Bengals basically almost stuck into the playoffs last year with that same metric. We're going to outscore you. That's our defense. Our defense is our offense being better than your offense. And that's it. So I don't think they're dead yet. Also, another team I don't think is completely dead yet, even though this is a more of an uphill climb for this team. And you guys it's going to sound crazy. I don't think the Cowboys are dead. I don't think the Cowboys are dead yet. I know they've been beating bad teams. I know they've been playing bad teams. I get all that. I don't think they're 100% dead yet. Yes, they have to play the Eagles multiple times. Obviously, they played them already. They have to play the Eagles multiple times. They have to play the Commies multiple times. But they also have to play the Giants. Like there's I want to go through the Cowboys schedule here just to take a look and see. I don't think the Cowboys are dead yet. I don't think the Cowboys are dead yet. Let's take a look here real quick. All right, sitting at 2-2-1. They've beaten the Eagles, nearly beat them. Eagles beat them, but it was close, 24-20. They beat the Giants in overtime. Bears smoked them. Tied with the Packers, which was an emotional win, a moral win. And they smoked the Jets. Next couple of games, they play the Panthers, winnable game. Then they have a string of a couple tough games, Commies and Broncos. So Commies, Broncos, tough games back to back. But then they play the Cardinals, who you guys know I'm completely out on the Cardinals. Just trash, just not good. They're not a good team. You'll never convince me that they're a good team. Not happening. So Cardinals, Raiders, they play the Eagles again. Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commies, Giants. Tough schedule. Tough schedule. Let me be very, very clear. It is a tough schedule. But I don't think they're dead. I don't think they're dead. I don't know. But that's overreaction Monday. Feels to me Like they have the offense if CeeDee Lamb comes back to be able to stay with some of these teams. I don't think the Chiefs game is as tough as we thought previous. Vikings depends on what their quarterback situation is. They have a good defense, but again, that quarterback situation is big. The Chargers game, who knows what the Chargers look like? Who knows what the Chargers look like at that point? Lions are very good, so I'll admit that. Eagles are good. Broncos, Commies twice, but then they play the Giants again. So those are a couple of the overreactions that I felt like I had. Another one. Lions are still the best offense in football. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they lose a quote-unquote genius, mastermind offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson who goes to their division rival in the Bears. And the Lions do not skip a beat. They had that one hiccup week 1 against the Packers where things didn't really look great. Since then, since that Packers game, let's take a look here. Since that Packers game, so they scored 13. So it's 27-13 in that week 1 game. Since then, they've scored 52 against the Bears. They've scored 38 against the Lions. They scored 34 against the Browns. So Browns, good defense. They scored 34 points. Bears defense, not good. They scored 52. Obviously, Ravens, we know, very bad, 38. Bengals defense, also not great, scored 37. So outside of the loss, they have 52, 38, 34, 37. Somehow or another, the best offense in football. And it's if you look at what they do, it's not incredibly complicated. Right? Throw the ball to Amon-Ra a bunch. Then they'll have one other guy in the passing game who pops, whether it was Sam Laporta this past week. Jameson Williams will chip in his 2 for 108 and a score. They're really relying on just being smash mouth football. David Montgomery threw a touchdown, scored another one. He's their bruiser back, obviously. Jahmyr Gibbs, just do it all, fastest guy on the planet. And they just run the ball hard as shit. They just are tough. They're tough on offense. Smash mouth football the way that Dan Campbell likes to play. And I don't think it's an overreaction to say that they're the best offensive football. And I'm thinking around the league of who I would put in that category. And Eagles, one of the best teams in football, not the best offensive football. Chargers, no. Chiefs, no. Bucks, okay, you could throw the Bucks in there fully healthy. I think they're probably one of the better offenses of football. Packers, not sold on them. Cowboys, you could throw up offensively if they're rolling. Commanders, again, there's just a lot of okay offenses, some good offenses, and then it just feels like kind of head and shoulders above is the Lions, just playing great offense. So that I don't think it's an overreaction. So non-overreaction for Lions best offensive football. Last overreaction Monday here, really quick. Pats are a sneaky playoff team. I mentioned that earlier. Pats, I think, are a very sneaky playoff team. Very sneaky playoff team. When you look at the AFC and you see the Chiefs kind of struggling, you see the Chargers now backsliding a little bit. The Ravens, even though I said I think they're going to win the division, they're down a little bit. Steelers, iffy. Colts, Jags, I think maybe one of those teams is going to make the playoffs. The Bills are going to win the division still, but it feels like if there is a team that can sneak into a wild card berth, if their quarterback and defense play very well throughout the stretch of the year, I think the Pats are that team. So I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's right on. It's right on line. Right on line. Let's get a little fun one, a little quick segment. Fraud watch. Only one team. Usually there's going to be multiple teams throughout the weeks. There's only one team here on Fraud Watch. I think it's the Bills. And there's been a lot said about Josh Allen. There's been a lot said about the state of the defense, the state of the offense. Are the Bills doing all they can to surround Josh Allen with the premier talent needed to compete in the AFC and win the Super Bowl? You can argue that he hasn't needed it. You can argue that when he had Stephon Diggs, those teams were great, but continued to flounder and not play up to their expectations of making the Super Bowl. Now they get rid of Stephon Diggs. They bring in guys that are, if we talk about the Packers having B receivers everywhere, and that's kind of being nice, what do the Bills have? What do the Bills have? C? Everybody's a C down there. Your second best offensive player is James Cook. I'm not saying that you can't have your second best offensive player be a running back, but when your best player is the quarterback, you kind of need wide receivers that make things happen. Keon Coleman, is he ever going to figure it out? I don't know. Shakir's good, but how much what ceiling do you have on Khalil Shakir? Not much. Who else do you have? They had the ghost of Amari Cooper for 6 minutes. He didn't really do anything last year. I think the Bills are in a bit of fraud watch. It's not a fraud warning. Like you got hurricane watch, hurricane warning, tropical storm warning. Like those are the things that we have here in Miami to let us know the indicators for storms. It feels like they're on fraud watch right now. I'm keeping an eye on them. I think they're going to get to fraud warning at some point and then full on frauds later on in the season. But it feels to me they can't stop the run when they're facing a dynamic quarterback. Again, dynamic in quotations because they played Justin Fields and he wasn't that good. He ended up getting hurt in the game anyway. But we've seen him against Drake May. We've seen him against the Chiefs. We've seen them against the Bills. The Bengals when they have Joe Burrow. Like there's teams out there that kind of figure out the Bills defensively. So I'm putting the fraud watch label on you, Bills Mafia, on you, Bills Nation. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on those very quickly. Could turn into a warning. We don't know. Couple of minutes of tonight, and then we'll take a couple of questions from the chat. Thanks everybody watching, wherever it is that you're watching us. Make sure, quick reminder again, subscribe to 10 Day Tony on YouTube at 10 Day Tony, Twitch, Kick, wherever you may be streaming, maybe watching us from. Go and like and subscribe. Hit the notification tab, the little bell, so you can be alerted when new stuff comes out. We'll be breaking stuff down throughout the week. So, Chiefs and Jags tonight. If the Chiefs come out flat and the Jags win this game, I think it says a lot about what the Jags are made of. Like it says a lot about what the Jags are made of. I think nationally the story is going to be, oh, the Chiefs blew it, or man, what's going on in Kansas City? I think smart football people will take a look and say, what's going on down in Jacksonville, Duval County? Duval. Again, we could be completely wrong, and the Chiefs can go out and smack them in the mouth, and we're like, oh, the Jags, we knew it. They were frauds all along. Fraud watch. We could put them on fraud watch for next week. I think it's gonna be a fun game. I think I'm looking for. I think Fat Punk Bastard said, "Give me a good parlay so I can blame you when I lose." That's funny. The parlay from God hit. The parlay from the Metro Rail hit. So I haven't gotten a divine parlay like that yet. I do want to sprinkle something today, though. I'm going to be very intrigued with this specific prop. Give me Travis Kelce anytime tutty tonight. Lock in Travis Kelce anytime tutty. Okay? Because it's been a while. I don't think the Jags are covering the linebackers are covering tight ends great. I think that Travis Kelce can get away with one and have one of those like 6-yard TDs. Let's see what the odds are on that tonight. Let's see. Let's take a look. Player props. Anytime tutties. You're looking at plus 185. Travis Kelce anytime tutty. which I like. He's right now 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got the fifth shortest odds to score a touchdown tonight. And if you want to get spicy, let's see, Travis Kelce first is plus 1,000. Plus 1,000 for Travis Kelce first. Very interesting. Very interesting. Might throw a little something on Travis Kelce first. But all right, Tony's 2-minute drill. Appreciate everybody who hung out with us. Woo! The NFL is a quarter of the way home. We've got a lot of stuff to get to throughout the season. We're going to continue streaming and putting stuff up in the next couple of days. We'll probably get back to the normal 10-Day Tony show on Wednesday. Last week, my bad, streaming schedule was all messed up. Had my brother's wedding. We had the rehearsal. Then we had this. We had that. Had to get stuff ready. Then the wedding on Friday is just mayhem. So we'll get back to regular scheduled programming this week. 10-Day Tony show in a couple days. And yeah, excited, man. Excited. Let's have a good Monday night tonight. If the Travis Kelce anytime or first does hit, drop some comments on the video for the boy for a nice little plug for the kid. Okay, like, subscribe at 10-Day Tony across the board, everybody. I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll see you later this week. Peace.